Greetings. In this episode, we visit Evansville, Indiana, and the LST 325 Museum. Tied to a pier on the Ohio River in downtown Evansville, the LS 325 is one of two functional LSTs left in the United States. The acronym LST stands for the name Landing Ship Tank Soldiers. Soldiers that were transported on the ships claimed that the acronym stood for Slow Moving Target. This was not inaccurate, as the 300-foot-long ships moved at only about 10 knots, which is about 11.5 miles per hour. Enemy gunners used them as prime targets during an assault. The flat bottoms of the ship made for rough riding, even in calm seas. Seasickness was a common malady for soldiers living on the LST. After the craft landed and the ordnance and soldiers deployed, many times the ships remained beached and served as hospitals for soldiers wounded in the fighting. The ship could cross open seas as well as bays and rivers. The Evansville shipyard played a key role in the construction of LSTs. The Missouri Valley Bridge and Iron Company contracted with the United States government to construct LSTs in early 1942. Evansville city residents found out that the city would have a shipyard on February the 14th, 1942, in an article published by the Evansville Courier. Construction on the shipyard took place on 40 acres of derelict riverfront property. The first LST was completed even before the shipyard was done. The workforce eventually reached over 19,000 workers. The shipyard produced the boat at a pace of about 2 per week, eventually building 167 LSTs. They also produced 24 other types of ships and 35 other military craft of various types. The yard was the largest inland shipyard in the United States. The last ship was launched on December the 12th, 1945. A fire in January 1946 destroyed the facility. Developed by the British for amphibious assaults, the LST design allows it to beach itself on virtually any beach, deploy a ramp, and unload various types of military equipment like tanks, jeeps, trucks, and troops. The British and Americans then collaborated to come up with a common design for the ships. A door on the bow of the ship could open, after which a ramp was lowered onto the beach and the cargo unloaded. The keel of the ship was flat, allowing the ship to rest on its bow on the beach while the boat remained upright. LSTs were used in every war theater during the war, from the European theater to the Pacific. The United States constructed 1,000 LSTs while the British built 80 more. The LST was not constructed. The LST 325 was not constructed in Evansville. Workers laid the keel down on August 10, 1942, at the Philadelphia shipyard. It was launched on October the 27th, 1942. The ship received its commission on February the 1st, 1943, with Lieutenant Ira Earnsall in command. Ensign Clifford E. Mosier would replace him during its shakedown cruise at Norfolk, Virginia Harbor. The ship's next destination was New York, after which it would sail for Oran, Algeria. The crew practiced loading and beaching operations as it ferried both United States and British troops between Arzu and Mostaganem. Its first combat operations were when it sailed for La Goulette in the Bay of Tunis, arriving on June 28, 1943, to participate in the invasion of Sicily. It would later support the invasion of Salerno, Italy. On November the 12th, 1943, the ship set sail for England, arriving on November the 25th, 1943. During the voyage, the convoy that the ship accompanied came under attack by German bombers using their newly developed radio-controlled bombs. The German squadron sank several transport ships, and one passenger on the LS-325 was wounded by shrapnel. From December 1943 until March 1944, the ship and crew participated in training exercises on the English coast. In June 1944, the ship participated in the D-Day as a transport for backup troops that landed on Omaha Beach. Over the next year, it would make 43 round trips between England and France. After the war, the ship returned to Norfolk after being almost sunk by a rogue wave inflicted a large crack across the main deck. Engineers managed to temporarily repair the damage, and the ship sailed on. From there, it sailed to New Orleans, where it was repaired during July and August 1945. It was destined to participate in the invasion of Japan. However, Japan surrendered before the ship could depart. Instead, it sailed to Panama and then returned for decommissioning on July the 2nd, 1946. She would be reactivated briefly in 1951, 1961, and 1963. She was transferred to Greece, where she would serve in the Greek Navy from 1964 until 1999, when she was decommissioned for the last time. The USS Ship Memorial Incorporated acquired the ship. The members of the group traveled to Greece and made repairs to the ship. They sailed it across the Atlantic to Mobile, Alabama, where she arrived on January the 10th, 2001. She sailed up the Mississippi and Ohio rivers and docked at Evansville for a 10-day stay. More than 35,000 people toured the boat during this time. After leaving Evansville, she made an excursion along the East Coast, stopping at Alexandria, Virginia, and Buzzards Bay, Boston, Gloucester, Massachusetts, during a 60-day tour. In 2018, the ship was moved to Evansville to serve as a museum. The ship still sails on excursion cruise during the months of August through October. Cruise times and destinations are determined annually. The ship is open for tours as well at designated hours. On board the ship, you'll see all kinds of military aircraft, a lot of photos, documents, maps. It's a wonderful place to go. It's a great little museum. And the address would be the LST 325. The phone is 812-435-8678. And the website is www.lstmemorial.org. You can find a video version of this podcast on my Mossy Feet Books YouTube channel, as well as my Substack newsletter, History, Gardening, and Stuff. A link to the newsletter is on the website, and there's a page on the website also that has links to all the videos that I've put out. Information about this site and many other sites in Indiana are found in my book, Southwest Indiana Road Trips. The book is part of my 9-book Road Trip Indiana series, which has a day trip destinations for every region and county in Indiana. Destinations includes state and local parks, museums, wineries, farmers markets, and even drive-ins and bowling alleys. You can find the books on my website, www.mossyfeetbooks.com. There are links to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple, as well as many other online booksellers. They're available in ebook, softbound, and audiobook format. You can also purchase the books direct from me on the website. And residents of southeastern Indiana can find a large selection of my books at the Walnut Street Variety Shop on George Street in downtown Batesville, Indiana. I hope you enjoyed this podcast, and thank you.